Thank you for joining us for 10 Minutes with the Artist, an episodic series that explores the professional practice and personal vision that guides artists. On today's episode, we're very proud to have Logan McRae. Logan exhibited recent works from his series Intersecting Lives at the Memorial Union Gallery for the exhibition Hysterical Sublime. Intersecting Lives is a documentary series that examines the individuals who utilize public transportation and the spaces that they share and interact with as they move from one place to the next. I'm Anthony Ferris, and this is 10 Minutes with the Artist. Thank you, Logan, for joining us for our 10 Questions with the Artist. You said in your statement that you took these pictures discreetly and you were trying not to connect with your subject and your subject's lives. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about why you wanted to create that sort of separateness.
Because on a level it was kind of a socioeconomic study too. I just wanted to observe, to kind of understand these people and not truly discuss their lives with them or be a part of their life, because I hadn't been a part of their life, or I hadn't seen them until I had actually ridden the bus with them. Like, I didn't know any of the people I really got on the bus with. And so by taking the pictures discreetly, I was still staying as the observer and not so much as a part of their life.
Okay. So you took pictures of these people, right? And the individuals are pretty relatable, I think. But then you also have this other subject matter, which is sort of details of the space. And some of them seem sort of kind of cold, almost even sort of unrelatable in a way. And I was kind of curious if you could talk about your relationship and your interest in these guardrails, these floorboards, these plastic head.
Yeah, I don't think the bus is always such a happy place. I mean, one time I took a ride that would take like 15 minutes in a car that took an hour and a half to reach my final destination. And so by creating kind of a sterile environment, or like a cold environment, as you said, it kind of gave that feeling of maybe like not every, like, I found it fun to ride the bus because I got to take pictures and I got to experience this new thing, but it's probably not fun for everyone, If you didn't have a car and you couldn't get where you wanted to go in a timely manner, I mean, if you had to plan like 3 hours to go to Target, it's not, well, plus shopping time, it's not a fun experience. So, and then a lot of these people don't have an option other to go on the bus anywhere. I mean, in my area, it's primarily a food desert. I mean, there's not really a place to get any fresh food. I'm on 7th and 11th South, and then if you go north, the closest place is the Sun Mart, or Family Fair now, on University and 8th. And then if you go south, the closest place to get fresh vegetables or food would be the Hornbuckers on University. So it's not always the best thing,
Okay, so did you ride different buses, or is this all the same bus? And
I took the paths that I normally travel. So I took one that went out to my girlfriend's apartment, which is out on 45th, or out by 45th. One that would go to work. I work at Red Lobster, and so I took the one, I think it was 15, that then stopped at the mall, and then it stops like right by Target, which is across the street from Red Lobster. I took one from, 10th Street to the depot to go to Renaissance, but usually I was going from campus to Renaissance. So then I would go from my house to campus to Renaissance. So it was all the places that I would normally travel.
Okay.
So I never took a bus unnecessarily, because I thought that was kind of voiding the purpose of the experiment or the study.
Right.
So I only took the buses that were going to the places that I needed to go.
Well, I guess I'm kind of curious about this, because if you are regularly doing this on your everyday journey, then you might begin to run past the same people over and over again, and you might sort of build a community.
Right.
But I didn't know if that was something that was part of this experience, or if it became.
I think I only really talked to 3 people in the time I went, and like it was just, it was interesting. One lady was very forthcoming and just started talking to me. It was actually a man that had become a woman, and then the second one was actually 4 people. One was a mentally disabled woman that rode the bus from the mall to my girlfriend's apartment. She had gotten on, and she had to go grocery shopping at Hornbacher's and then get back to the mall within like an hour to catch the bus to go home. And then she like got on and she was breathing heavy. She's like, I can't believe I did it. And then I rode a late night bus one time, and there were 2 slightly mentally handicapped gentlemen. I don't think they could drive, in the back seat, and they were asking me what I was doing and stuff. But other than that, no community was really built, and I never ran into them again. It was just people just kind of get on the bus to get from point A to point B. I don't think they were really there to chat.
Okay.
So it was a kind of a cold experience in that respect too.
Yeah.
So I think I rode for about 2 months.
There's this sort of odd contrast between the stationary images that you're taking, right, and then the movement and the sort of implied transition of spaces. So you have, in one place, everybody sort of is sitting still, but then you know that they're moving through time and space, you know?
Right.
So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, and sort of if that movement was important to this work, you know, like the landscape and the background and stuff like that, or was it all within?
I don't think it really played that much of a role. I was trying to confine the individual to the bus, and that's another reason why I had those like cold, like kind of detail shots, is I didn't want the viewer to think of anything outside of the bus, and that's another reason why I shot with a fixed 50mm lens too. Is that like I just wanted to confine the viewer to a certain space, and that is where they're at, and like I wanted them to understand the kind of the mindset of the bus rider.
Okay.
Per se. So like I don't think the time passed really plays much role. I did take GPS data of every trip I took, and I plotted out the pictures at which point they were on the ride. So I have the GPS points of where each picture was taken, and that's kind of interesting. If I was going to go in more depth with it, I would probably print out a map and pin each picture to that. And that would then express time, but in more of a linear sense than the way you're talking about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the way that you sort of arranged the works and a grid pattern, so I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how you expect sort of a viewer to navigate that.
I want them to read the works as if you're reading a page. Like the first work is a picture of a person. If I'm not wrong, I can't visualize it right now. And then it goes to the scenery, and then it's a person, it's a scenery. And so I kind of want each picture of the individual to be a sentence, and then the imagery to be a breath or a period, and then you move on to the next subject, and then you breathe, and then next subject and breathe. So as if you were reading a book or a story.
Okay.
So.
Well, one of the things that I'm kind of curious about is people's creative endeavors and explorations and how we work as creative individuals. So I was going to ask you a couple of questions about your process. Do you listen to music or anything while you're making artwork?
Not when I'm shooting, when I'm editing usually, but it's not really part of the process.
Okay. Is there anything that you're reading right now or that you've been reading?
Not really.
Okay. And then what do you think that the most challenging part is about your medium?
I'm very technical. I never set my camera on auto. And I know a lot of people do, and I've found that challenging myself, but that's what I love about photography is the mix of technicality and art. But it does get challenging at a point. we just did a shoot the other day, and it was in like the middle of the day, or not middle of it, sorry, from like 4 to 6. Like as it was getting down, it was -6 outside, and like setting everything up so the lighting was proper and like I wasn't getting blur was pretty difficult, but turned out all right. So
yeah. And then I guess my last question would be, what's next for you?
I don't know at this point. This next semester is focusing on lighting primarily. I'd like to do a little bit more data-based street photography, like the bus was. I would like to do a project eventually about people that moved from other states to Fargo. It seems that there's a large kind of manifest destiny transition coming from other states to the Fargo area. I know some people from New York that are here now, Hawaii, Pennsylvania, and like there's just this large like melting pot of different from other countries too. And so I was kind of thinking about working on a project describing the manifest destiny of the area and talking to some of these families and asking why they moved here, why the individuals moved here, and so on. So I think it'd be kind of cool to compile a blog or a book at that point. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Logan, and I'd like to thank all of you for your time and your interest in the professional practice and the creative endeavors of our students here at North Dakota State University. So thank you, and for everyone here at the Memorial Union Gallery, keep creative.